What's up, y'all? Matt Stepp, Dave Campbell's Texas Football here in the parking lot of the Birdville Fine Arts Athletic Complex in North Richland Hills with my Friday night instant reaction on a very rainy night across much of the state of Texas, including here. But we got our game in. So let's start here in North Richland Hills, where in a battle of undefeated teams between 8-0 Richland and 8-0 Mansfield Timberview, it was the underdog, Richland Royals, who came away with a 37-27 win over Timberview. Timberview was ranked number 3 in the state in 5A Division I, and Richland was unranked, but came into the game 8-0, and they came out with a big win. They fell behind 13-0 early. Timberview scored 2 touchdowns in their first 5 plays of the game, and they were up 13-0. You thought Timberview would run away with it. Richland stays the course, takes the lead, and pulls away. It's 21-21 at the half. Richland pulls away in the second half for a solid win over Timberview. The star of the game was Michael Turner, junior running back for Richland. 40 carries tonight, 175 yards. He had about 50 yards receiving as well. He was a workhorse, 3 rushing touchdowns. He was the difference, along with that Richland defense, which limited Timberview's big plays for the remainder of the game. And Jed Cates' ball club at 9-0 gets a huge win, and they're looking strong to finish the year at 10-0, as they'll be big favorites next week in their season finale. Timberview, a lot of talent. They just had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes tonight, and Richland made them pay for it. So credit to Richland. That's a very good team that is kind of flying under the radar, but they're going to pop on the radar of a lot of people going forward. Staying here in Tarrant County in the Fort Worth area, the big game tonight, Byron Nelson with a huge 34-17 win over Southlake Carroll, handing Riley Dodge his first district loss as a head coach. That's pretty surprising to say. But Byron Nelson improves to 9-0 with a pretty dominant win over Southlake Carroll. I watched a good portion of this game online, and Byron Nelson's defense came to play. They were on it. They completely mystified Southlake's offense throughout the night, and the Bobcats offense for Byron Nelson did just enough to get the win. It was a very impressive, thorough performance from Byron Nelson. No flukes, no tricks, nothing crazy. It was just a dominant win. Byron Nelson was the better team tonight, full stop. Congrats to Travis Pride and the Byron Nelson Bobcats. That's a huge win for their program as they look to win their first ever district title, and they're possibly going to go 10-0 as well. Huge win there for Byron Nelson over Southlake Carroll. The other big game tonight in the Metroplex was the Battle of State Champs, DeSoto and Duncanville. That game got the rain. Mother Nature won that battle, as they will play tomorrow at 2 o'clock, as the rain forced a postponement of tonight's showdown. But Duncanville and DeSoto will play tomorrow, Saturday, at 2 o'clock in DeSoto. Moving down to, let's go to the Houston area. How about Humble Atascocita and Northshore? Another top 10 battle, and Northshore gets the best of Atascocita again in a wild 61-35 game. Defense optional in this one. Northshore's offense, man, Caleb Bailey, they unleashed him tonight, and he was every bit the star of the show for the Northshore Mustangs. He had a monster game. The Northshore offense was just zooming up and down the field on Atascocita. But I got to say, I watched this game, and this is not vintage Northshore football. This defense for Northshore got exposed a little bit tonight. Atascocita got some big plays as well. They're dynamic as well. You know, I have some concerns about Northshore's ability matching up later in the playoffs, because they're just not as big and physical up front on either side of the ball, at least from what I can see. That's something to keep an eye on. I think they're dynamic at the skill spots, maybe as good as they've ever been at the skill spots, but just up front on both sides of the ball, that physical Northshore style that we're used to seeing, kind of hit or miss with them right now. So just kind of something to keep an eye on. You just don't see teams put up 35 points very often on the Northshore Mustangs. But even saying that, they still win by 4 touchdowns over a top 10 ranked team in the state of Texas. So maybe the expectation for Northshore is just a little higher, too high. I put Northshore and Duncanville on levels above the rest of the state. They're kind of playing a different game than everyone else. So when one of them doesn't play their best, or plays a little sloppy, maybe we harp on it a little bit too much. But such is the way it is when you are an elite program. The expectations are high each and every week. Big game in Class 4A also in the Houston area. The Iowa Colony Pioneers at 9-0 knock off Bay City 28-27 in a thriller down in Bay City. And this is a huge win for Ray Garza and his program. Iowa Colony is actually ranked higher than Bay City, but there's been some whispers. Oh, you guys have, we have Iowa Colony, I think, ranked 5th in the state now. Bay City was number 10 in the state. Iowa Colony hasn't beaten anyone. Who have they played? Well, they played somebody tonight, and they beat them. They came away with a key road win. Iowa Colony at 9-0 with a big win over Bay City. They got a huge game next week against Needville, a really good Needville team that was 7-0. They lost to Bay City last week. Iowa Colony with a game against Bay City against Needville next week to go 10-0. Huge win tonight for Ray Garza and the Pioneers. Any questions about their schedule or their ability have been erased with tonight's win. So congrats to the Pioneers. Another game that weather got the best of that I had my eye on tonight, Whitney and Grandview. Now they did get started, and the game is, I believe, in the second quarter. Grandview leads Whitney 26-15. That game, they postponed it. They're going to finish it tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I believe. So Grandview's got the lead over unbeaten Whitney at the moment. The Zebras are off to a strong start in that game, but there's still a long way to go. Whitney going to need to try to come back on Saturday afternoon to keep their unbeaten season alive as those two teams battle for the 7-3A Division I title. Finally, down in Class 2A out in the big country, the Hawley Bearcats hold off a strong challenge from the Stanford Bulldogs, winning 34-30. 34-30, that's the score. Yeah, I had it written down right here. Mitch Abel's ball club, the defending 2A Division I state champs, lost a couple of games early in the year. People were questioning them a little bit. They're kind of getting their wheels back on. The real strong test from an unbeaten Stanford squad as Wayne Hutchison came back to town to coach the team. Stanford is really, really strong and pushed Hawley to the limit. But Hawley at home comes away with a 34-30 win, and they will likely win the 4-2A Division I title now as they've got Cisco next week, and Cisco is also a little down. Cisco lost to Stanford a couple of weeks ago, so Hawley will be favored in that game. But a big win for Hawley. But Stanford, I think you got to feel good about yourselves. This is your first real big test. You pushed Hawley to the limit on the road. Don't be surprised if those two teams maybe meet again come playoff time. Don't overlook that in the 2A Division I Region I bracket. So that's all from here in North Richland Hills. I'm going to head to the house, get a few hours of sleep, and then hit the road to the airport and head to Houston for a doubleheader tomorrow. You guys stay with TexasFootball.com for the best coverage of high school football in Texas anywhere.